Welcome to Inspired Artist Podcast with me, Porter Singer. I am speaking with Lindsay Müller today, who creates positive songs for kids and adults. I love that uplift, heal, and inspire. She's originally from a small town in Ontario, Canada, but she now lives on the tropical island of Florianópolis. I'm gonna hope I pronounced that right, in Brazil, with her husband and two sons. Lindsay started writing songs in 2016 when her boys were 2 and 4 years old, and she was inspired to create positive, empowering music that would help her sons develop self-love, confidence, kindness, gratitude, and respect for Mother Earth. Lindsay didn't think of herself as a songwriter or musician when she started out. Her first album, You Are Amazing, began as a fun side project. But during the recording process, she discovered that writing positive, meaningful songs for children was her passion and calling. So I met Lindsay through Instagram, and I started to listen to some of her songs, and they were so cool. I was really impressed, and I was so excited that she reached out to me. I encourage all of you to go listen. They're definitely positive, uplifting chants songs for kids and adults, which I love, because I think we need to hear positive messages too as we grow older, right? So, all right, well, let's get into this. Here we go.
Hello.
So you live on not just in Brazil, but on an island?
Yes. As wonderful as that
cool.
sounds.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I have been living here for 8 years, and I can thank my husband for that, because I met him here when I was traveling here in 2008, and we lived in Canada for a while, but then we decided to move back to his hometown. So we've been here since 8 years ago, and it's been just so wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, neat. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So do you like go back and forth a lot, or are you mostly kind of
Mostly in
camped out?
Brazil.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
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 That must be nice for your kids. They're bilingual.
They are. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's really nice. It took a couple of years, but I think it takes anyone a couple of years to learn a language, and now they're just super fluent, more so than I am. It's easier for kids to pick up languages, so I'm really proud of them, and I think it's really good for kids to learn another language, because it just kind of develops different, like, neurons in your brain or something like that you wouldn't have otherwise, and I think it helps you to have more of an open mind about things, like there's not just one way to say something or do something, there's lots of different ways. So I love that for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I grew up bilingual, so I can relate to
Okay.
that. Yeah.
What's your other language?
French. Yeah.
Nice. Are you in Canada?
No, I have well, I don't have any sort of dual nationality, but I grew up in France, and my parents are American, so English was the
Mm.
language we spoke at home, and French was the one that I spoke in school. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it does really change the way that you think about the world. I really appreciate that. And it's also kind of a little like easier to conceive of yourself as like different, not personality, but like all the different aspects of yourself, because there's like a person that I am when I speak French that can't really be when I speak English, and vice
Yeah.
versa. Not that I'm a
Yeah, I get
different
that.
person, but it's like there's different parts of you that you can express, just like you can express different parts of yourself when you sing, when you dance, when you write. So,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah.
I totally relate to that.
Yeah. So you didn't you it I was really interested to hear in your bio that you didn't like think of yourself as a songwriter. Did you think of yourself as a singer?
Not like in a professional sense. I've always been a musical person, and I grew up taking piano lessons, guitar lessons, singing in choirs, like every musical thing. But I thought like singers and musicians were like ultra good. Like you had to be like virtuoso in your instrument or singing, and I just didn't think that I was at that level, and so I never even dared to call myself I'm a musician or I'm a singer, or it's so funny for me to think back on that now, because I've just completely changed how I see myself in that aspect. But yeah, I had a low self-confidence in that area for sure.
What changed that, do you think?
What changed that was starting my self-love journey. Um, Shortly after my first son was born, I started that journey, and I started using positive affirmations, and just like being aware of my thought processes, or just the thoughts that were going on in my head. I would notice that like every time I looked in the mirror or saw a picture of myself, my first thought was like, "You're ugly," or "Ew," or something like that. And I mean, we see ourselves in the mirror like frequently. So like imagine you're telling yourself like you're ugly like 20 times a day or something. And that like really weighs you down, but I didn't think that I could change that. I just thought like that's what happens and that's it. But when I started learning about positive affirmations, I would like catch the thought and then I'd be like, no, no. And then I would replace it with, no, I'm beautiful inside and out. And then I would just like keep repeating that to myself over and over and over. And eventually like the the negative thought just like didn't come anymore. And like I just completely changed. And then that happened with other areas like I'm not good enough to be a musician. I'm not a good singer. I'm not a good songwriter. And I just changed like everything that I didn't like, that I didn't wasn't happy with the thoughts that I was having. I just would find an affirmation and just replace the negative thought every time it came up. And then yeah, so that's what happened with me considering myself to be a musician. Was just like I am a musician. I am a songwriter. I am good enough. I have a nice voice. Like even like recent up until recently, like I struggled with believing I have a good voice. I have a nice voice because I was always focused on the imperfections of it. And I still can be critical of myself. Like when I make a mistake, like, oh, why can't I be perfect? Why can't my voice be flawless like so and so's, Where, well, they probably don't think that their voice is flawless. So I just had to put those thoughts aside and just be like, no, I am good enough. And when you start to believe it yourself, like other people start to believe it too, like, or maybe some people already did, but I get so many compliments now on my voice, like, I love your voice, you have a great voice. And so but I had to come to terms with that myself. um but other people's compliments do help, but it does have to come from within
Yeah.
for me. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and when you don't believe something, you almost won't believe the compliment anyway. So,
exactly. Or you're just making it up, or you're just saying that to make me feel good.
yeah.
That's what I would always think.
Yeah, it's so powerful to change the way that we think about things and just to notice what we're focused on. What you were talking about, I so relate to just seeing the negative parts of your voice or um that, or just the like looking at yourself in the mirror thing too. I really relate to that. One of the first things that I ever wrote was in like this sort of, because I've written other kinds of songs too, but and this sort of thing was the line in it was "I am beautiful." It's a song
Mm.
that I did with my friend Darshan, and I remember it being so hard to say at first. It was like so hard to say, and then it was like so
Mm.
easy to say. And then I remember we would sing it for people, and I felt that for them it was hard to say. And I was like, don't worry, like
Mm.
this, it was hard for me to say. If it gets easier to say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I have also seen affirmations written like if it's hard for you to say that, you can say, I'm willing to see myself as
Mm,
beautiful, or
mm,
something like that. And
yeah.
I didn't try that because I just went right for the I am beautiful inside and out, and that worked for me. But if it's hard, then maybe that's something that people can try to.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, because you have to start where you are with something. It's really hard to go from like, not, I don't know, having like really poor eyesight and then being like, I have perfect vision. Like, okay, maybe maybe you can start with like, I see a lot of things really clearly, or like, just sort of make it a little softer because I feel like people do try to go a little like 180 with it sometimes, and that can actually be um a little deflating because it feels like so much of a stretch. So yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely didn't believe it at the beginning when I was saying them. I was like, this is so stupid. I don't believe that. But like, it's just like, uh, we receive so many messages, like audible and non-audible, saying things to us, and we hear them like hundreds and thousands of times. So if we say something to ourselves hundreds of thousands of times, like we will eventually start to believe that too.
Mm,
It's just kind of like, it has a lot to do with repetition.
mm, yeah, yeah, for sure. So how you wrote that you'd been doing this for a few years now. Were you writing songs before that you just weren't like sharing, or is this?
Not really. I used to be a Christian, and I wrote a couple of songs kind of um, in the Christian vibe, and but I never like recorded them or anything like that. And then I just stopped. And I even had a friend who loved writing songs with me, and she'd be like, "Oh, let's write a song." I'd be like, "Ah, it's so hard. Oh, I don't want to." Now I'm like, "Want to write a song? Okay, let's go. I'll have it done in 5 minutes." But yeah. So then I kind of started up again when I decided to do this project of like recording just songs that I like to sing with my kids, or songs that I loved as a child. And then just kind of in the process of that, I wrote two songs, and I decided to record them and put them on the album. And then yeah, the one song, "You Are Amazing," just became like my whole like mission as a person and as a songwriter and part of it. But I decided to call the album "You Are Amazing," and yeah, it was a very personal message, and that's what kind of made me realize like there's so much power in music, and if we can share a message through a song, like it's just so easy and it's effective. Like with kids, with adults, like it makes a message, I think, go to your heart more quickly, but also it helps you to remember it. And if it gets stuck in your head, then you have these positive words going around in your head, and that's a great thing, to fill your mind with positive words. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reflecting on like because I decided to teach a songwriting workshop this month. So I have like I'm doing it till the end of the month. And I'd never taught songwriting before. So I was trying to think of like ways to explain what people were going to get out of this. And one of the things that I thought about was what you just said about how like you put it's like well, I likened it to sort of like thoughts becoming things, but you add that emotional component to it. It's like you're adding like your own emotion to it. So there's all these different things that are going on, It's like it's not just saying the thing, but it's like you've turned it into an emotional sculpture or like yeah, I don't know. I'm not finding the words right now, but the the emotional component of the because you and I could write two totally different songs with the exact same lyrics, right?
Absolutely.
And it would have like our stamp on it. It would
Hmm.
like not just because of the voice that was singing it, but because of what the intention behind it, right?
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. I even heard recently that um, with positive affirmations, for example, the most powerful way to use them is to sing them, because you're like, if you just say it, like, I'm amazing, like, okay, well, you can say that, but like, did you put any emotion behind it? And then you could say it, I am amazing. Like, you do have to put that emotion, but when you're singing it, like, singing allows you to put your soul into it, you know? And when I heard that, I was like, huh, I was onto something there. But yeah, it's really true. Like, and I can feel it, even like, because in the song You Are Amazing, the first kind of chunk of it is me singing to my boys and saying like, you are amazing, I believe in you. And then I sing the whole thing again, but then I make the affirmations into I am amazing. And every time I start to sing the I am amazing, I just like, everything changes. I'm just like, okay, yes. And then you just like really put your heart into it, and then you really do feel so good. You feel better. It's nice.
Yeah. Well, and you what you brought up is really cool too, because when you notice good things about other people, it's easier for you to believe them about yourself and vice versa. I think it always starts with yourself, but like noticing actually like positive things about people can make you feel so much better about everything because
Totally.
when you're choosing what you're seeing, you're choosing what
Yeah.
you're going to focus on. Yeah.
For sure.
That's really cool. So do you have anything in the works right now? Are you doing any more recordings?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. um, I'm actually about to release a song on Friday
Oh,
called
fun.
We Just Met. And I have another song coming out in February. And I hope to have another song coming out in the month or two after that about the planet, taking care of the planet. I'm hoping to release that before Earth Day. Well, I will. I am going to release it before Earth Day. And yeah, my goal this year is just to record and release as many songs as I possibly can, because, you know, when I'm always kind of asking the universe for guidance, like, what should I focus on? Like, what marketing strategy should I implement, and so on? And just like, it's always the same answer. It's just like, record your songs. Like,
Mm.
that's why you're here. Like, yes, you have to market them and share them, but like, sometimes the universe can just take care of that for you. You know, you have to put them out there, and then just like, it's like it's a gift. It's like, here, this is my gift, and then universe, you can distribute it however you want to, and I'll do my best to do things too. But yeah, that's the answer that I always get. So I'm trying to focus on that, even though it's difficult and impractical to do that sometimes, because you don't often see any money in return for the work straight away. But when you just feel so motivated and inspired to create, there's nothing that can stop you. So that's what I'm working on this year.
The song that you first mentioned, We Just Met, is that what you? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that will be out by the time this comes out. So yeah, you guys can go check that out. Yeah, I was on an Abraham Hicks call. No, it wasn't a live call. It was like a recording. I've started listening to them a little bit more again. And
Uh-huh.
I remember someone asking about this crystal. I didn't totally get it actually. I think it was like a bar that she had crystals in, or it was just like literally a bar for crystals. I don't know. But anyway, she was talking about vibrational marketing. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it reminded me of what you had just said. Yeah. Yeah, it's that like build it and they will come.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not to say that you shouldn't market and you shouldn't do anything, but like, just for example, like this year, I all of a sudden, like, two of my songs, just people started making reels with them and on Instagram. And then a bunch of people did. And then it just started growing and growing and growing. And I didn't do anything. I didn't make an ad. I didn't do anything. It just
Oh.
happened on its own. I made the song, you know? So like, yes, it does. I do I do Instagram, I do my best, but I didn't do anything like paid. And it just showed me that, like, sometimes things can just happen, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is your recording process? Do you record yourself? Do you have a studio down there? What's your
It's
magic?
very it's very roots, but it works really well for me. My first album, I recorded with someone, um, but after that, I started doing it myself, and I do it mostly just in my house. I have a little Apogee One microphone that is also like an interface, and you can plug in the instruments. I use GarageBand. Um, yeah, and I just record. I normally will, set the tempo, pick a beat, and if I'm thinking ahead, sometimes I'll forget to do that, and I'll start with an instrument, and then later I'm like, should have started with the beat, but I'm learning. So beat, and then the instruments, and then the vocals, and I pray that I find a quiet moment in my house where there's no like kids or dogs or airplanes or motorcycles or whatever. Um, and yeah, I just do everything here in my room, in my house, and I have a lot of really wonderful, beautiful instruments because my husband is obsessed with buying vintage instruments. So I'm very blessed that way. And he also knew how to record, so he taught me everything.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
now I know how to record. I know how to edit. I know how to mix, and then I master things through Lander online. I've never done like that's not true. I did a professional mastering in my first album, but yeah, I
Well,
just
that works
mastered through
really
Lander,
well.
and
Yeah. Lander works really well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a good ear, and I don't know, I can't tell the difference. There probably is, but for me, it's like, okay, people, if the song is good, like, people aren't going to care if there's whatever, if there's like a little bit of noise, or if it's, I
Yeah.
don't even know, but people connect more with the intention behind the song, I feel, than the quality of it. So although
Yeah.
it's good to have good quality,
Yeah.
if that's important to you, then for sure, do it. But that's my process.
Yeah, I totally feel that. It's funny. I had like so much equipment at one point um for recording, and I ended up selling it for reasons I won't explain here, but I I ended up with just my microphones, and then I just bought like a little cheap interface, and I'm also using GarageBand, and I'm kind of impressed how little I actually need to do what I need to do. I don't mix though, so that I'm impressed to hear that you mix with GarageBand. That's
I mean, I basically just fiddle with things until it sounds good. I adjust the volumes, put on some effects on some
yeah,
things, and
yeah.
that's it. It's pretty minimal.
Yeah. That's nice though. I agree. Actually I'm working with a producer right now on one project. I kind of do multiple things simultaneously, but he actually just told me, and he has like all the gear, right? But he's like, yeah, I'm kind of like not really into the idea that it's the gear anymore. I think like it's the performance. It's like I like that. Yeah, that realization came to him after having to record in caves where it was not like an ideal environment, but the feeling of it was so epic.
I bet.
Yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
I yeah, I think that's really cool. And you get a lot created, which it doesn't stop you from creating. I think that's really important too. I think that too many people wait to do it perfectly, and then you lose that momentum of like getting your songs out. I mean, you want to keep creating stuff. You don't want to like sit on something for 10 years. I'm
For
assuming.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I even feel like it's not that you have to just do one version of the song. Like,
That's true too.
make a a simple acoustic version, put it out there, and then later on you can make a different version and another different version, you know, like there's no rules.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a beautiful world we live in now in that aspect, because we have the freedom to record whatever we want and put whatever we want out there.
Mm.
Like, you don't need to be signed by anybody. You don't need to book a recording studio. Like, it's just so easy and accessible. I mean, yeah, you need to know kind of how to do it, but you can learn, you can get the stuff, and away you go. So I love that. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Did you ever listen to Jewel?
Oh yeah.
I think about her first album because when I got it, it did not occur to me that most of the songs on that were just like vocal, guitar, acoustic, live.
Hmm.
And then she redid just a few of the songs to make them radio ready, but like
Mm-hmm.
that album sold so many copies and it was so cheaply produced.
Was it Pieces of You?
Mhm.
That's the only one that I know. So
Yeah, like the
yeah,
first
that was huge. That
track
was
on it
huge when I
was
was a teen or
produced.
however old I was.
Yeah. But then like every, because you hear the clapping at the end of every song. And it didn't occur to me as a kid that that's what they had done and for what reasons. It was just
Mm.
like, this is pretty. Like I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like perfection, it's overrated. Like, I don't know. I sometimes like hearing imperfections in people's voice, because then I'm like, see, they're human. They make mistakes. I can make mistakes too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just makes it more human.
Yeah. 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 We were watching the Carol Burnett show. We've been watching the Carol Burnett show. Um, and it's so interesting to see how like real people were allowed to look on TV in the
Mm.
60s.
Mm.
Like there was some belly dancer on it and she had like a real looking figure and it was, and like you see people's faces and they're not like kind of airbrushed looking and um I kind of, I'm not going to say I missed that because I don't think that I was watching TV in an era where that was maybe in the 80s. I don't know. But you look at other countries like England or whatever in their TV shows, like their people look so real, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's, I wonder about why American media has gone that route. And now everybody kind of when they're posting photos or whatever wants to like keep in line with that trend. But yeah, I think that there's something to be said for that like refreshing quality of actually seeing what someone's face looks like, actually hearing what someone's voice sounds like, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, it's comforting to be real or to be authentic, to present. Yeah. Yeah. I would like
Yeah.
to see more of that, hopefully. There's like that, isn't there like an Instagram hashtag that's quite popular? It's like no filter.
Yep.
I want to
Yep.
be like I don't tend to use filters, so it's like
Yeah. Me neither.
or like no makeup. I'm like, yeah.
That's my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's a topic that is close to my heart as a recovering person who thought they were ugly. Um, I would love to see people embrace just who they are and what they look like, and I just think that we've been bombarded with messages in the media that you have to be perfect, you have to look like this, and if you don't, you're weird.
Yeah.
You know, we grew up with magazine covers of perfect and gorgeous women with perfect bodies that probably weren't 100% real.
Mm.
And that's what we grew up learning was the right way to be. And it's just not.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard for people to just love and accept themselves for how they are, you know. And I mean, I'm sure I do think that there are advantages to like being uh what society views as beautiful. But when you really think about it, like you think about your family members, you think about your friends, like you really don't care what they look like.
Mm.
You really don't, you know, or like you see videos of people who are like what people could consider ugly, and then they give a talk and you're just like, oh my god, that I don't care what they look like. They're just such a beautiful person and a beautiful soul. Like that's not celebrated. It's only the physical that's celebrated in society, you know. I think it is changing now. It's slowly changing. But yeah, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. And that's like such a big motivator for me to create songs that talk about loving yourself and accepting yourself. Because if we can teach kids that from a young age, then maybe they won't have to go through the process that I did or that some people do with trying to rewire your brain to get rid of the negative. And you
Yeah.
know, not that you can't be negative ever or something. That's not what I'm saying. But you know, believing negatively about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find interesting too, like the idea that somebody does even look perfect by some standard that was invented by someone that we just all kind of agreed to. But, if you go back 10, 20, 30, 100 years, that standard would be completely different. Who gets to decide
Yes.
that standard? Um,
Yes. Like
which is why if everybody just sort of declared that they were beautiful and like truly believed it, I don't know that there could be no standard, you know.
exactly. But then no one would sell their beauty products and no one would make money. So can't have that. But I think I read a book and they were saying how like hundreds of years ago, like it was fashionable to have like black teeth because that meant you were rich enough to
Black
eat lots of
tea.
sugar. Yeah.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
was like, huh, wow. Because I think I was like going through like a phase where like I was self-conscious about like, oh, my teeth are like getting yellow and stuff. And then I read that and I was like, huh, like, why do I think I need to have perfectly white teeth? Why? Because that's what you see. You
Yeah.
always see people on the magazines with white teeth. Always. So you
Yeah.
think you have to, or you're not pretty.
Recently, but like on the Carol Burnett show,
Yeah. We
their
need more
teeth
Carol
were
Burnett.
very yellow, actually.
We need more of her. Oh my God. More on the show.
I'm just using one example because I'm looking at it and going, this is so interesting how things have changed. Um, or like our views of what's I don't know, media ready, have changed.
Mm.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't know that thing about black teeth.
Yeah. Don't quote me on it. It was like a fictional book, but I feel like it was historical fiction.
No,
So
that makes, well,
we'll see.
yeah, I mean, whatever. Even if it weren't, it would be an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Like I've heard of, people being overweight was considered like a prosperous thing, which makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, what else should I ask you about, Lindsay, since I'm just starting to get to know you.
Yeah. No, I talked about my projects that are upcoming. I mean, people often like to hear about life in Brazil, so I can always talk about
Oh, yeah.
that.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, It's a wonderful place that I live. It's so much different than Canada. In the nature sense, I would say culturally it's not as different as some places could be. People are always saying to me, "Oh, it must be so hard to learn Portuguese," and yeah, it was. But I'm just grateful that we have the same alphabet, at least. Like people having to learn Japanese or Mandarin or something, I'm just like, wow, hats off to you, because it's tricky, you know. So yeah, I'm surrounded by so much beautiful nature here. As it's an island, there's like a ton of beautiful beaches, and I live right next to one and next to a forest, and it feels magical. But the people, of course, it's always about the people. I love the people here. So many great friends that I've made, and there's so much musical talent. And I mean, music is such a big part of the culture here. And the styles of music that have come out of Brazil are just incredible. Like samba, bossa nova are two of my favorites, but there's so many different kinds, and it's so different. Like I feel like in my culture in Canada, it's like a lot of like, oh, G, D, A, like a lot of like standard chords, you know? And that's cool. That's what I use. But like Brazilians are like, I'm gonna have 50 different chords in this song, and they're all gonna be chords you don't know. And it's just like, it just, it makes it so different and so rich and so beautiful. I just love it. And then like so many people know how to play these bossa nova songs, and I'm just sort of like, oh my god, it's such a treat to be around people who can play that kind of music. And yeah, as you know, a musician in the community, I have lots of musician friends, and my husband, that's, you know, largely thanks to my husband, because he grew up here and he had a big network of people. But we have a lot of musical friends, and we have so many wonderful times together and performing together. And yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful part of life. So I love that. So the nature, the people, yeah, it's just great.
Is there much of an expat community there, or are you? Yeah.
Yes, there's tons of expats here. I mean, it's a very popular destination. It's kind of a tourist destination. So when expats are looking for another place to go, they often stumble upon my island, Florianópolis, because it's so beautiful. It's very safe. It's kind of known as one of the nicer places to live in Brazil. So a lot of people end up here. It's good, but it's also hard because people come and go a lot. Mm. And so I'll make great friends with somebody, and then in a few months oh, I'm going back to my country, or I'm moving on, and it's like, oh no, I love you, don't leave me. But you just have to learn to anticipate that and be okay with it. So yeah, but there is a big community, and it's so easy to connect now with Facebook groups and things like that. I've met so many people that way, and yeah, it's really nice. I have a lot of friends from other countries as well as Brazilian friends.
How do you get to the island? Is it like, is there a bridge that you
There's
drive?
a bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's not super remote.
No. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's the capital of our state, so it's happening place.
Gotcha. That's really cool.
Yeah. Oh, and the other great thing about it is that it doesn't feel like a city at all. Like there is like a central city part, but the rest of it is like just like a bunch of kind of rural neighborhoods. Like there's like cows and horses and goats like everywhere. And as an animal lover, I love that. It's really crazy. Not in the wild, no. Like farming
farms.
Yeah. So I really like that, because I'm not a city person, and I get to live in a city without feeling like that. So it's cool.
Is that kind of what you're used to from living in Canada, or were you more city there?
No, I grew up on a farm, so small farm, but yeah, I'm a country girl.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
I used to have such a cool farm when we lived in Phoenix that we would go to every Saturday. I love, yeah, I love farms.
Yeah.
Um, there's farms here too. We haven't explored as many though. I live in,
Where are you again?
yeah, I live near Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also lots of nature, but very, yeah, very different from what you're describing.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, cool. It was so nice getting to chat with you. I'm so glad that you agreed to do this. And
Yes.
do you want to share with people, and I will link it in the show notes, where they can get in touch with you and find out more information about you, follow you?
Yes. If you go to my website, lindsaymüller.com, all of my links to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the links are there right at the top. So you can check those out. And Spotify, all the music streaming places, I have lots of songs there, and I hope that they bless all who hear.
Yeah, go check out her song "You Are Amazing." I added it to my what did I call that playlist? I Am Positive Affirmations playlist, right?
Yes, and thank you for that.
Which exists.
Part of my marketing strategy.
Yeah, that was really good. So yeah, go check that out. And thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode. All right, bye. Thanks for tuning into the podcast, y'all. Please like, subscribe, rate, comment, whatever the platform you listen to podcasts on offers you, as a way to let its algorithm know that you're enjoying these episodes. That really helps. Also, there's some links in the podcast description notes that allow you to support the podcast in a way that benefits you and us. So please check those out. And if you'd like to stay in touch with me, you can sign up for my mailing list at portersinger.com. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.